Hey, what's up? We're going to start. Hey, so we're going to do like half talk and half Q&A. So we're not going to have, too much time for questions. So what we're going to do is just like, we're going to pick like the best ones. And the best ones get
so
anything?
if you have a question, I guess our lovely sound assistant and staff over here will, I guess, raise your hand and they'll ask you questions and they'll field them and we'll figure that out. I will say the most, we answer a lot of questions in these panels all over the place. And, a lot of people are like, what's your favorite game? What's your favorite episode? Great.
Favorite game, Link to the Past. Worst game, Jekyll and Hyde. There you go.
So one thing, I have a secret present up here, and if you ask the most interesting question, you'll get that. So keep that in mind when you're doing Q&A. So I guess if you want, raise your hands, and they'll go around and pick some people until they feel like not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
right?
So you raise it, and then they'll come around, and
Yeah.
they'll
And
get your
if you want to do like a half raise,
Yeah, and then you'll be remembered, and at the end, we'll come back to as many as we can.
Yeah.
So that's how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So you won't have to hold your hand up the entire panel.
Yeah, just because 45 minutes isn't a lot of time.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do some more clerical notes real quick.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the year, we're going to release a new Blu-ray set of all the episodes up to Home Alone in one set. It's going to be an 8-disc set with 2 slots that you can put future ones in to cover up. It's we're calling it the BFG collection, like Doom, but BFG.
You know what that stands for?
Yeah, we didn't. I guess big fucking group of Blu-ray. We didn't really think it through.
Okay.
But that's coming out, and that'll have like AVGN X and X2 and X3 and stuff. But regular X2 and X3 won't be reprinted just because it's weird with stock. So keep that in mind. End of the year, hopefully. I gotta design it when we get back. Not just that, Ryan wanted me to tell you guys that AVGN 1 and 2, the games, are coming together in one package early next year, Q1, I think. And it's 1 plus 2 deluxe, is what it's called. There's also a third chapter. It's the first 2 games plus a third thing, all completely redone, new art, a lot of new music and stuff like that.
There's some changes to the first 2 games, but the third is going to be brand new. Nobody's seen the third yet. I haven't seen the third yet, but it's going to be. I bet it's going to be good.
Yeah, Mike's been working on that one a lot actually with those guys.
He's been working with Sam. Right?
Yeah,
Sam's
Sam
the guy.
Beddoes.
Freak Zone Games. He makes the games.
And now the story connects all 3 things in that as well. A lot of new collectibles, skins, all that kind of stuff. And that's going to be for immediately when it comes out on PC and Switch. And hopefully a physical release, but we're still talking with people about that. And then, hopefully eventually Xbox and all that. So keep a look on for that next year. So that's kind of what we've been doing.
Yeah. So let's see what to talk about. I just have like some random topics here. One thing, we just put out a video recently called Cage Match, and it's we take 2 Nicolas Cage movies, two Nicolas Cage movies enter the cage, and only one will emerge victorious. So we just did Mandy versus 8mm, and at first I thought we were just joking around, but when I watched them both back to back, I was like,
it makes sense, right?
It's like it actually made sense because there are certain themes that were like. Where he's basically like avenging somebody's death in both movies, and both are really grim, and I was like, both of these are really good actually. Like, so I thought I was gonna pick Mandy, like no contest, but and I think I still picked Mandy, but only by a little bit because it was a good cage match.
Yeah, and we're probably because that was for Monster Madness this year, like a few weeks ago. So if you want to watch it on there, it's there.
Yeah.
But we'll probably eventually do a full cage match month on rental reviews. So I don't know when, but that's coming up soon.
Yeah,
so.
We could talk about some of the matches itself, but I mean, it's just a little preview, I guess, because it's like this is going to be a while. So.
Example, so you have car movies in the cage. So you take Gone in 60 Seconds and Ghost Rider.
The only thing in Ghost Rider, isn't he on a motorcycle?
Yeah, well, it's still vehicular homicide.
Yeah. There's Con Air versus Face Off. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both like his could you stop, Nick?
Actually, can we poll the audience just real quick? Which one? Who wants Face Off? Who thinks Face Off is the best? Okay. Who thinks Con Air is the best? Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm more Con Air too, actually.
Put
yeah.
the bunny down.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Yeah, yeah. Cole Mooney's in that one.
The Rock versus National Treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
they're both-
who's for The Rock? Who's for National Treasure?
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And
I
I'm
haven't
National
seen
Treasure.
National Treasure, so that's
Oh,
why I
yeah.
wanted to.
That's actually my favorite Nick Cage movie, National Treasure. Yeah.
What's funny when The Rock came out, I went to go see it with my family, and half my family, we saw two different movies at the theaters. My dad's like, "Do you want to go see The Rock or Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg?" And I watched fucking Eddie. I wouldn't know. That's a good one. Eddie versus The Rock. Who's gonna win?
Raising Arizona versus Leaving Las Vegas. Believe it or not, I'm going to get on this
That's
soon,
because
but I haven't.
they're like desert ones. That one's
Yeah.
iffy, just because I love Raising Arizona, but I thought they'd be good. Like they're like Nick Cage, kind of, on the run, I guess.
All right, so who for Raising Arizona?
Yeah, that one's
All right.
that one's
Who
gonna
for Leaving Las Vegas?
win. Oh, there's the
Arizona's
alcoholics.
win. Yeah, the alcoholics. Okay, we got that. All right, the big one. Adaptation versus The Wicker Man.
Because they're both psychological.
All right, who's for adaptation? Who's for The Wicker Man? Okay.
Not the beast. Okay, here's a question. If anyone knows, you don't want a prize. You can do shout outs. What's the only Nicolas Cage movie that's in the Criterion collection? The Rock. The fucking Rock is in the
Wow, wow.
Criterion collection. Michael Bay. We were thinking about Vampire's Kiss versus like Snake
Bad
Eyes
Lieutenant.
or Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah.
That's it. They're hard. You can do 2 or 3 months full of
Hey,
Cage
the
matches.
hotel room has some of the streaming services on it, and it has Crackle, which I think it's on, or Showtime. It's on one of those. It has Bad Lieutenant on there. If I get any time, I might be watching that in the hotel room.
Oh, it might be Bad Lieutenant versus Lord of War. Oh man.
See, I haven't seen a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, so I'm looking forward to this.
Or maybe Vampire's Kiss versus Sorcerer's Apprentice. There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Cage match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also had this topic I was thinking about. We might do for a video sometime, but it'd be fun to talk about now. Why not? Is favorite film franchises, because it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. Like it's tough to pick a favorite franchise because a lot of franchises go on and on and on, and they might make a lot of subpar entries, and the question is if that brings you down. I'm sure lots of people would say Star Wars is their favorite film franchise, but they may not like the newer ones. It's usually, pretty much like the newer ones are very unpopular compared to the old ones.
Yeah.
You can't beat the old ones. It's too tough. But the question is, do the newer ones bring your love of the franchise down at all to not be your absolute favorite? Because are we looking for consistency here? Does it have to be like every installment is stellar?
I mean, most people would probably say like the Marvel films now, just because they did it so. There's like 23 or 22 of them, and they're so consistent with them. But that's not really fair. That was genetically engineered by like Disney.
So there's a lot like Godzilla. Like, okay, I mean I've thought about that. Is that my favorite franchise? But it's like, there's a lot of bad Godzilla movies. It's not like, it's not something where it's like perfect across the board. But also, as a Godzilla fan, you don't want perfection. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for like, what makes this one different? Like what,
Well, it's tough because you might love one movie. Like you might be like really big in the Jurassic Park, and then it's like, whoops.
Yeah. So I think for my favorite franchise, I'm going to go more consistent. But I'll get to it. I know what it is. I'm not going to say it yet.
I think like, consistency and good. I might pick Naked Gun.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
No problems there.
Wow. Cool. And that's a movie we got to do, too. I actually already have notes for Naked Gun Trilogy and Police Squad, because those movies are hilarious. Star Trek, I mean, no? Too many bad ones, or what?
Let's see. The only good ones are 2, 4, 6. We did it. Well, First Contact's okay, but it kind of messes with the series.
I'm actually a Generations guy.
Yeah. Dies, a bridge falls on.
Are you a Lord of the Rings guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Those are good. I like the cartoons back in the day too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a contender, Lord of the Rings. I mean, for me, it would probably be something I saw as a
it's
kid.
tough because you got to have the Hobbit films in there, and those are awful.
You don't like the Hobbit films?
Oh, jeez,
wow.
no.
I hear that a lot. Yeah. I mean, I don't get it because I don't know. I like them all. I mean, I understand.
I mean, they were
the
all
last,
right, but I'm saying like the franchise
the
got
last,
weak.
yeah, the last two Hobbits, like Hobbit 2 and 3, it just didn't need to be 3 movies.
I forgot it
but-
was 3.
Yeah, yeah.
It was supposed to be 2.
Well, I like the Hobbit 1. I like the first Hobbit. That was really good.
Yeah. I like the book.
Evil Dead. That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. And I even like the remake. I thought that
I
was
mean, you
fine.
got 3 movies and a series, and it's all good. But I mean, that's tough when there's like a TV series attached to it, like it's a movie and, you know, like Star Trek. Star Trek's a franchise, but it's like, wow, that's a monster of a franchise.
I was working on it with Ryan for a while until he
Yeah.
abandoned me. And then Mike just said, screw, I guess. But we tried working on this project called Star Trek in 100, and it's everything you need to watch in 100 hours of Star Trek, cutting out all the filler and BS episodes. Kind of like Dragon Ball Kai, you just take out all the bullshit. So you don't have like, you know, movie 1, you don't, you know, but you have to have 3 to make 4 happen, stuff like that. And we were working on it really well. We chucked down Voyager to what you need to know. We chucked down TOS, and TNG was, I think there's like 40 episodes out of the whole thing. But DS9 is impossible. It's too serial. You can't, I've been trying, and I've been trying to get
I heard that. You
Trek
gotta like watch it
channels.
all in order, right?
Well, there's 9-part episodes. Like
Wow.
the Dominion War is 6-part, and then by that time there's 50 episodes in it out of the 100 whatever they made, and now your Star Trek. Like if someone wanted to watch Star Trek for the first time, or they just wanted to watch the good stuff, this is what you'd have to watch to get caught up to like watch Picard or whatever. And DS9 screws you up.
I'll throw out some other franchise real quick. We got Terminator, the Terminator series. There's probably too many bad ones, I guess.
Well,
I don't know. Actually, the only one I really think is bad is Genesis, but
3's fun.
3's a lot of. Oh, the action's great.
For Salvation, they tried something. Because
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a rental review soon that's, it's going to be like a Dark Fate review, but the title of the episode is What's the Worst Terminator Sequel So Far? So we're going to work on that. But Terminator,
What will the fate be of Dark Fate?
I don't know why they didn't call it No Fate, because that's like what she carved into the table.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess because now the fate got, because
That's a poster right there.
If you didn't know, Dark Fate is like the sequel to 2. They're forgetting that 3 and the other ones happened. They're trying to reboot the series. It's going to be bad.
How about Die Hard? You know what? I liked them all up until I think 5 was pretty bad.
Yeah, we said in the Die Hard, I think we did a rental review of Die Hard, I forget. Like one
The
of the
first one,
Christmas
yeah.
ones, yeah. And I said something like they got to make a 6th one and call it Old Habits Die Hard. They just need to kill that franchise. The first one is so perfect, and 3's pretty good.
Rambo. I mean,
3's probably the weakest.
3 is the weakest, except for that big battle scene at the end. But
Yeah, the
fuck
gallant,
'em.
the gallant peoples of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, very, very weird.
The new one was great.
I bet a lot of people would say the Marvel movies. I mean, that's
what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's like a monster franchise right there, where they really got it down. Like they understood how to make a cinematic universe. Really, the first cinematic universe to really get it right, to really do it with consistency.
What about the Universal Dark Universe?
Oh, the Dark Universe? Yeah. You know, I want to get a Dark Universe shirt that just says 2017 to 2017.
The Mummy?
Yeah, I'm going to make that shirt. Yeah, The Mummy, the one movie cinematic universe.
Or the frickin' DC movies with
with
Suicide Squad and
the original
which they're
Universal
remaking.
Monsters, that is very close to being my favorite franchise. It probably would be, but it's like, but I'm thinking more consistent, because like Universal Monsters has a lot of, it's like some of these are just, they
Naked Gun.
didn't really know what they were doing, yeah.
Consistent.
Like House of Dracula was a mess because it didn't know what movie it was following. It was like part of it is a sequel to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Then the other part is like rebooting it. It's just like they sort of reboot the Wolfman part of it, but the Frankenstein part is like, no, they reboot the Wolfman and the Dracula part, but then the Frankenstein part they just scrap and do over. So it's like, well, what do you... No. The Wolfman and the Dracula part is rebooted. The Frankenstein part is a continuation. Yeah. So it's just like they didn't know what they were doing. But that was before DVDs, and like nobody was. You see it in the theater once and you forget about it. Like they don't play again. there's the Lethal Weapon franchise, the Bond franchise, the Indiana Jones franchise, the Alien franchise, but all those have like entries
Alien.
that
Alien's so rough
upset
because
them.
I'm not
Yeah.
big on Aliens because it's such a departure from the first one, but it's still pretty good. And
Yeah.
then 3's like an art film,
Hmm.
and then 4 is she plays basketball on a spaceship, and there's a vagina monster, and then Prometheus, which looks cool. It should have been its own in its own universe. It probably would have been cool. And then Covenant. So that franchise is done.
So then, well, Star Wars we mentioned. It's like the three movies, the original trilogy, nobody argues with. It seems like everybody loves the original trilogy, but it has too many movies that came after that, were subpar. But
Caravan of Courage is good.
mainly Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. But then there's Planet of the Apes. Now that's a contender. I mean, yeah, okay, there's some that aren't so good,
Beneath,
but the
Conquest.
rebooted Planet of the Apes,
Oh,
they
those
got
are
'em,
fantastic.
Yeah, it's like 3 solid movies. So it's like if you got the original and then the 3 in the reboot series, it's like, wow, like that is a good franchise that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
So that's close, it's up there. Now, here's one, Back to the Future. You got just 3 movies.
They haven't ruined it yet.
They got 3 movies, and they're perfect, and it's just...
It's up there with Naked Gun.
Yeah, but can you get a franchise that has more than 3 and still, in my personal opinion, I still love them, even if they're not all perfect? Rocky. I think Rocky is my favorite franchise because...
I might pick... I even like 5.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like, okay, there's 8, with the 2 Creed movies. There's 8... Wait, is there 8? There's 6... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's 6 Rockies and then 2 Creed, so you got 8 movies. And the only one that's kind of lacking is 5, but that street fight at the end is so good. My ring's outside.
So is that like the Rambo 3 of the Rocky?
Yeah, but if you got like all these movies and then one of them brings it down a little bit, I think the average is still high enough where, to me, that's my favorite.
It might be Rocky, yeah.
Rocky, to me, the best franchise. It's a knockout.
How about video game franchise?
Probably Zelda,
You think?
for me.
It looks
It's too easy for me. Oh, Spirit Tracks? Oh, well,
There's a lot of...
Well, if you
I
want
meant like overall quality.
Well, what franchise of games has no stinkers?
Metal Gear?
Metal Gear. The original Metal Gear on
Snake's Revenge, but that
NES.
doesn't count.
I don't know.
They were trying something new.
If you're just
That doesn't count.
If you're just talking about the Metal Gear Solid games, sure.
Oh,
but
Solid, yeah.
when you say Metal Gear, I'm thinking about going around punching dogs and like getting stuck on bushes and going into little trucks that open into like a huge room that makes no sense and.
No, just Solid. Wolfenstein, Doom, Resident Evil. Have you played 5 and 6? Yeah, Doom, yeah. Metroid's all right. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, Metroid, yeah. Mortal Kombat.
Special Forces and Mythologies, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Barbie. I didn't like that horse riding one.
We got to get into the Barbie games. We got to like really. Street Fighter, yeah. I mean, well, the first one's horrible.
There's some
really.
messy ones.
The original one that was before Street Fighter 2, which is the only one that, nobody ever talks about Street Fighter 1.
Fighting games are tough because with a lot of them don't have storylines in them, so they're just kind of updating the gameplay of it. Except for when Mortal Kombat just throws too much story in, like Mortal Kombat 4, it's Tekken.
All right. So, yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put like the third basic Mario game in different
Oh, you split up Mario? Yeah, I still only like really the 2D Mario games. Like, no offense to the Smash Brothers.
See,
You ever just have people shout game franchises?
yeah. So
And Quake is
I'm gonna, I have an autobiography coming out next year. Hopefully, I'm hoping. So it's all about, my trials and errors making films and growing up, growing up making films and what drew me to that art and why I became obsessed with it and then all the experiences I had. It's called A Movie Making Nerd. I'll read you a small, blurb from it. Not more than a blurb, but kind of like a page or two here. I've done this at some of the previous conventions, but I'm not going to go as long as those. But because we have a lot of stuff to do, we want to get to some questions.
Q&A,
Yeah. So here's a little chapter. There's filmmaking can be a little embarrassing. If you're filming in public, it could draw attention. Maybe you're in a shopping mall, hanging upside down from an escalator, wearing a monster mask. Somebody looks at you funny. What do you say? Student film. This is when I was a sophomore in college. So those were the magic words, student film. I loved saying it. Student film, it was the perfect excuse for anything. People would ask, oh, you go to film school? Yeah, I'm getting a bachelor's degree in fine arts. Oh, yeah, sounds very prestigious. Yep, but it's expensive too. Yep, I'll be in debt forever. Wow, so what kind of film are you making? It's about a shit monster that comes out of a toilet and shits on people. It came from beyond the toilet in 2001. Cost about $200 for the 16-millimeter film stock, plus a few grocery supplies, peanut butter and chocolate syrup, the recipe for fake feces. I needed an actor who was willing to get covered in it, so, and they'd be like, so you want me to get eaten by a shit monster, they'd ask? I'm like, well, technically it doesn't really eat you, it just hovers over you, drenching you with more shit. Everybody was hesitant. So I went to Mike Matei, only a month after I vomited on his floor and asked, would you be willing to get covered in fake shit? That's fine, I don't fucking care. He was a brave soul, and this began a long history of me covering Mike in fake shit. So there you go, there's a little chapter for you. So let's see. I could either do the bullshit thing real quick, or we could just go straight to questions.
We just go questions.
All right.
But,
So we're gonna do some questions now.
We will say that we are bringing, it's bullshit back.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, it's going good. How are you?
Good. Yeah.
So, a lot of what the nerd does to me is makes me think about growing up and what expectations for things. And, when you get a new video game, you don't really know what it's going to be about. You just get it, and, sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really bad. But a lot of the times when I was growing up, there's a lot of merchandise that they just push out with video game, Super Mario shampoo, or, and I was wondering, what if that had any tie to you, if there was one product that had nothing to do with video games, but they just slapped a sticker on it and you were like, man, I gotta have it. Which one was the most terrible that was just so disappointing, and which one was something that you had for a long time because it was really cool?
Oh, I don't remember. The only one I can think of off the top of my head, I remember the cereal, the Zelda Mario cereal. Yeah. And it was it was actually Mario and Zelda in the same box, and it was it was split. I think it was even two bags. Yeah.
It was the multi-cade or...
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I mean, it's probably terrible, but yeah, I remember that.
Mine's Mario 2. You remember the little game you press and it was in water and you had to get the rings and stuff? My sister opened it and drank all the water.
I think my worst was we had Super Mario soda pop that came in these tiny little cans. It just tasted like crap, dude. It tasted like shit.
And Mario sucks.
All right.
Now we're just passing the mic around.
Turning back the clock a little bit, one of my favorite episodes from back in the day was when you covered the Sega CD and the Sega 32X. The episodes primarily focused on the hardware, and you did an amalgamation of different games at a high level. In the episode, you mentioned that there was potential to return to those over time, and I was just wondering if you had ever considered returning to any of those games to do a deeper dive, or if there's any potential there for future episodes.
Going back to any Sega CD games or 32X maybe, I don't know. Yeah, to be honest, I really just don't know, because I don't know what material there is now. I mean, at the time, I thought there was some, but now kind of where things are, I kind of just feel like, there's a lot of other things to talk about. But maybe, I'll keep it in mind. I'll think about it more, because it's definitely something that wasn't tapped into that much. So I hear you on that one for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be funner to cover more other systems like 3DO or Game Gear or something like that.
Yeah, actually, it would be really cool to do another console review, like something obscure.
Laser
You know what?
is awesome.
I was
The
pushing for
modules.
that one. Yeah, I think. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we actually talked about that, and I think we found there wasn't enough to talk about.
Well,
it.
I mean, recently did the Amiga CD32, but you melted it with a flamethrower.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking to do like a melting montage of all the games that melted and use the full raw footage of each like melting or burning and post it as a Cinemassacre Yule log in time for Christmas. We just got to put the like a fireplace in front of it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. But it's got to run for like a long time. We might even maybe film some new burnings just for it to get it to go.
I'm fine just burning shitty old games and filming it.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. It'd be the longest video we've ever posted if we do that. Just so you know.
It's like a
I don't know
5-hour video.
I don't even know what the render time is going to be on that one, but yeah, we'll have to figure it out. Yeah, I want to do that for real.
Well, the thing that makes like the renders long is all like the cuts and all the keyframes and all that stuff and different footage from different consoles. Not so much like if it's just one shot, one camera, it renders pretty quick.
This might be weird because a lot of those old videos, it's like SD footage, and then there's
Yeah.
like different codecs, and some of it's like the ones I shot is like ProRes, and it's like, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right.
next up.
Yeah. What we
Yeah,
got?
so
We
I
got,
think
is there-
everyone that has a question's already in this row. And
Oh,
passing
they're
the
already
mic
in this
down.
row.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That
All
was
right. I
smart.
understand. Okay.
Oh,
That's yeah.
Kieran, you forget what time the panel was? He's at Starbucks. Sorry. Hey, what's up?
Oh, that's right. What's your favorite film franchise?
Street Fighter.
Oh, the movie, the movie,
Just
the one movie, or not the Chun-Li one.
no, not that.
Well, if you hate the Chun-Li one, then you're 50-50 on it. So
Yeah.
that means it can't be unless you don't count Chun-Li.
I don't count that one as like, no, it just
Yeah.
isn't real.
All right. Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Okay. All right. So next one. Yeah.
So, throughout your time as being the Angry Video Game Nerd, you've reviewed a lot of obscure but really bad games. On a more positive note, in playing through a lot of the games, and I know you get suggestions from people of bad games to play, have you found any obscure, like really good ones, like little gems, diamonds in the rough that you could talk about?
Oh, like just any game that's like a gem that you don't hear about much.
Yeah.
Journey to Silas. That's a pretty good one on NES.
I just picked that up
Oh,
yesterday.
cool. Oh, did you really? Okay.
It was-
Sunsoft, yeah, same company that made Batman, Fester's Quest. But even at their low points, they have some good merits. Like all the Sunsoft games have good music. Like they have some of the best music on the NES.
Blaster Master is one of my favorites.
Yeah, they did Blaster Master. That's right. Yeah. All right, next question.
Hi, guys. So you've made a lot of episodes, and if you had the opportunity to remake any of those episodes with an unlimited budget, which one would it be?
Oh well, remake an episode with an unlimited budget. I mean, maybe Rob the Robot because we have that whole city destruction. Actually, yeah, you know what? Because when I was doing that video, I wanted that last scene when I'm fighting Rob in the city to be like a costume, like have a Rob costume and like actually do it Godzilla style, all practical effects. But that video was so much work. By the time I got to that, there's just no time left to do anything. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it green screen and just that's it. Yeah. So I would go back and redo that.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Sure. Yep. Hey.
Hello. So I know with some episodes, like the Chex Quest episode, the whole point was it was meant to be like a pleasant surprise. Have there been other games for the show where you were expecting them to be bad, but you ended up finding yourself enjoying them at the end?
Yeah, I think so. Let me think of an example. Off the top of my head, all I can think is Mick Kids, because it was one of the early episodes, and it was just like, it was selected with no thought at all, just because, oh, it's a McDonald's game, it's got to be horrible. And it's actually not that bad a game. It's a pretty decent side-scroller, so.
I also
yeah.
remember that POW-only Noah's Ark game that kind of surprised
Yeah.
you.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's a really good one, yeah. I mean, a good example of a game where it's like, oh, okay, this can't be any good, but it is. And it's by Konami, so I guess that helps.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I love the way you guys integrate sponsorships into the rental reviews.
Oh, thank you,
It's
yeah.
almost like it's a mini episode of a whole different show.
Oh, cool.
And I'm wondering, do the sponsors kind of tell you what they want to see, or do they just give you full creative license to do whatever?
At first, when we started doing them, I think one of the first ones was on AVGN, and it's tough because if it's just like reading it and looking at the camera, it's not very fun. So we started just doing more fun with it because it's, you have to do it, because especially on the channel, because so many of the videos get claimed or copyright or demonetized, or like It's Bullshit, for example.
Which, by the way, I'm really glad that people understand that too, it seems. It's really cool that I think people are really digging the ads. Like, it's not like where, oh, you're selling out because you're selling something. I think people understand it's like YouTube doesn't pay as much as it does before, and
And I think because a lot of other creators, because you guys watch a lot of YouTube, I'm guessing, and a lot of them do it, and a lot of them do it pretty bad. So for us, we try to have fun with it, especially on rental reviews. On AVGN, it's more straight-laced. But
a lot of they do a good job with the rental review ones, because a lot of times I don't even see them or know what they're going to be until the video goes up, and it's always cool. It's always like all right, they got this. This is cool. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I really enjoyed the series of videos you did on real-world sets. Like, you visited the Twin Pines Mall, the Gozer Building, and some of the. So, is there anywhere out there that you still really want to go and visit in person like that?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love the location tours. The location tours are really fun. I definitely would love one day to go to Sad Hill Cemetery, which is not a real cemetery. It's from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's in Spain. And it's where Clint Eastwood and Van Cleef and he's such a great actor. Eli Wallach, yes. The three of them all have their showdown at the end of the movie. And they made a documentary already. So the subject has definitely been covered. It's a really good documentary called Unearthing Sad Hill or something like that. And they find the stones that were left. I mean, not the graves. The graves were wood. They're gone. But they found the stone circle where the showdown happens, and they took away all the weeds and everything, and then they replanted all the stakes in the ground, all the grave markings, and they set it up to look exactly like the movie. They screened the movie right there, and they had Clint Eastwood send a message and everything. It was awesome. I mean, I wasn't there, but it looked like it must have been magical to be there. So one day I'd like to visit. And the other idea would be very tough to pull off, but I want to do one called Horror Houses, and just go to horror locations that always featured a house, the Michael Myers house, the Nightmare on Elm Street house, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, and just go. It would take a lot of traveling to get that video done, but. What's up? What Horror Nights? Oh, yeah. Except these would be just not the haunted attractions. It would be just the regular buildings that appeared in the movies, whatever they are. The Michael Myers house it has an interesting history because it was moved. The house was moved down the street. It was repainted and turned into a chiropractor's office. And then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, it's family dining now.
Whoa.
Yeah. Cool. All right, next question. Yep. From Pepsi Man.
Oh no! Look out!
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry for asking this again. I asked you this half an hour ago, but I think everyone would like to know as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new Ghostbusters movie coming out, and it's not the name-make as you call it, but even with that, do you still have any desire left to see it, even after Harold Ramis passed?
No. I think with Harold Ramis, I think the series died with him. I think it's just, you're not going to be able to do it without him. I think it's like once he went, it's just so much of the chemistry of those movies came from him. And like, I mean, questionably, like, okay, maybe if Bill Murray is Venkman, but that seems unlikely. Like I just think, yeah, like without the 4 original members, at least even just to pass the torch, because that's all I wanted with the 2016 one. Just wanted the 4 in there to pass the torch, and they were there, but they weren't the characters. They were playing like other things, and I just didn't like how they disconnected it. So I feel like they should have just passed, because I'm all for there being a new cast. I thought the girls in the 2016 one are great. I mean, on SNL they're amazing. So I think they should have just do that, but have the 4 just to pass the torch and be like, here's the last one. But it's too late for that now, unfortunately, with Harold Ramis gone. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Pepsi for TV game.
What's up?
Pepsi for TV game.
Oh, Pepsi for TV game.
Pepsi Man rocks, dude.
Yeah, Pepsi Man rocks.
James.
Yep.
I'm Dinner Bites. This is Iris the Rhinoceros. What's up, dude?
Iris the Rhinoceros?
Yeah, she's the famous one. I am a big fan of Howard Scott Warshaw.
Yes.
Huge fan. And I actually liked E.T. growing up. Once I figured out that it was kind of a cube, 3-dimensional thing going on, even though the pits were driving me crazy and all that stuff. But I really want to know, what was the process in contacting him? I know that you had to do a lot of research coming up to that movie. And you know, what was that relationship like with you guys? I'm really fascinated by that.
Oh, awesome, cool, yeah. I actually just got to talk to him again now. Who's met Howard Scott Warshaw here? Like while you're here? Yeah, he's an awesome guy. The first time I think I ever heard about him, like basically, like the question is about what's the relationship with him like? How was it? What was it like reaching out to him and everything?
Like reaching out, and then how's the relationship now and through the process? You know, he's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely, very warm and friendly. Like he was one of the first game designers I think I even knew about, because back then when you're playing those games as a kid, you're not thinking about like who made the games. It's just not really like a thought that crossed your head. But I saw, you know, those Once Upon Atari videos like back in the 90s, or like may have been like early 2000s when I saw them, and like Mike showed me a lot of those videos with like Todd Fry and like all the guys who, you know, made all these games. And it was kind of cool hearing like their stories and everything, and like what went into Atari and all that. And you know, I just had that kind of nugget of information in my head. And when I was writing the Nerd movie, and we were like, hey, it's got to be about E.T. because it's my most requested game, has this great story about the landfill and all that. So we started writing it, and then we were thinking like, hey, we should maybe write Howard into it, but never having met him yet or anything. But we were like, let's approach him with like a good idea. So let's come up with what are we doing first, figure it out before we come to him, so we know what we're doing. So we have something better to pitch, because we didn't want to be like, oh, hey, we were thinking about doing this, but you know, we're not sure yet what we're doing. So anyway, we started getting invested in it. We're writing the script. Years go by, and it's like we keep adding more and more. And Howard he started as like a cameo and then turned into like this big role. And we were getting like nervous, like, oh man, like I hope he doesn't mind it. I hope he's like okay with doing this. So we got really nervous, and I forget who got the contact. I think Mike helped with it, but we contacted him and we told him about it. We said, hey, we have this series and everything. It's the Angry Nerd, and it's like it's all just meant for fun. And we have this script, and we wrote you into it, and we like to talk. And he was just like, can we talk more? Like, can we talk on the phone? And we're like, okay. I'm gonna call up Howard Scott Warshaw. And I remember I was just like nervous about like what's he gonna say? Is he gonna like the idea or no? And like so we call him up, and I'm explaining it to him and everything. And he was really nice. And but I remember he actually was giving feedback too at the script. Like he was kind of like, well, like he's really busy, you know, with his counseling and everything. So he's a counselor now, a therapist. And he was like, you know, it's going to be a little tough for me to do a role that big. Would you mind maybe like we could do it where like I have this mentor role where I pass it on to the other guy, and then we made up a fictional character, Xander, which was like the original character. So Xander would be like the Obi-Wan and Warshaw is like the Yoda, so he's the mentor of the mentor, and it worked out better than anything could have been. It was like a really good suggestion, and so we got his cameo there, and we filmed it in front of like 100 fans in a desert somewhere, and it was like me meeting the creator of E.T. in front of all the fans, and it was just awesome, like acting with him out there. And then after the movie like came out, like he loved it, and he kept telling me how much he loved the movie, and now I see him every once in a while, like here mainly, and it's really cool. So yeah.
Thanks so much, James.
Yep.
And thanks for what you do. Like, been watching you since Jekyll and Hyde. Really, really cool to watch you just ramp
cool.
up and rise. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I probably need to give this back to somebody. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think we have 5 minutes left too, right?
Okay.
Hello. I wanted to ask you guys a question because you played a lot of video games. I don't think I have to say that, but what is the most unexpected thing that a video game has taught you about yourself?
What's the most interesting thing a game has taught you about yourself? It's a good question. I have no answer. I don't think. What do you guys think? I don't know.
Counter-Strike taught me that I play games like an idiot. And let me preface that with, I played so many PC games back in the day, like, when they first started, like Marathon and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, first-person shooters. So I would play with the arrow keys, and I still do. So I play like PUBG and all the stuff with the arrow keys like this. I don't play WASD. So I'd play Counter-Strike and be like, why are the keys over here? The arrow is, up, down, left, right. That's how you move. What's W? Walk? Like, no. So that's something I learned.
Oh, there's one that makes it very glaring obvious. Video games taught me that I have a very bad sense of direction. Like if I'm like as simple as this, if I'm walking right and then I die, and then if there's any kind of respawn where the screen changes, now I'm like, wait, was I going right or was I going left? Like, it's that bad. And in real life, like, okay, let's say I'm in like a shopping mall and I'm walking and I'm like, oh, what's in there? I walk into a store. I come out of the store, I'm like, was I coming from there or there? So I'm like, fuck, I have a 50-50 chance.
That happens all the time, because like we show up to convention centers at different times or whatever, and James will be like, I'm at this door, where am I? And I'm like, and he'll be like back behind a thing, or he'll come up in like a door in like a service area. I'm like, how did you get here?
Oh, once I was at the Philadelphia airport, and so I got my boarding pass. I'm getting on a plane. I go over, I'm just trying to find where I go, like how do I get to like the security and everything, and I somehow got out of the airport into some area you weren't supposed to be in, and they were like hey, you're trying to leave, you need to go that way. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to leave, I'm trying to actually get on a plane. And they looked at me, they looked at my boarding pass, looked around, said, how did you get here?
I guess speaking of the TSA, that's actually our prize.
Whoa!
The Transportation Security Administration, they love going through our bags because we carry, like 400 Blu-rays and weird shirts, and like they don't, because that's not a normal thing someone would have. So when they scan it, we always get a bag, notice of bagging inspection. So whoever asked that last question, you win the prize of a signed copy of that. So. Yeah. And it's in English and Spanish. Here, Kieran, you want to sign this, I guess?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Kieran. So I guess that's it. I guess we're going to go to the autograph area now, and we're closing down, right? Yeah.
Yep, autographs next. So hoping that a lot of you can make it in there. There's probably like a big line, but thank you so much. Really awesome questions, too. Thanks.